What really happened to William Afton's wife? You see, throughout the franchise, we know William had a son named Evan, who was the bite victim of 1983, a daughter named Elizabeth, who was the victim of Baby, and an oldest son named Michael, who was a victim of a fire in FNAF 6, also known as Pizzeria Simulator. We also know William Afton caused Charlie and Henry's death, but what about his wife's? Arguably the character from his family that we know the least about. Throughout the decade FNAF has been around, there have been countless theories ranging from her dying during birth, to her being hit by a car, to even her being turned into an animatronic named Ballora. Now, not gonna lie, I thought this theory was canon when I heard it all those years ago, and I generally thought that it was facts, but apparently a lot of people disagree. The reason behind this theory was Miss Afton worked at Fall Fest and was a dancer, and Ballora's also a dancer. If you pay attention to Ballora singing in Sister Location, it almost sounds like she's referring to an empty house and a ripped apart family. Some even theorize that she never existed, but I'm not sure how this theory would work, as did William Afton have 3 kids alone? This defies everything I thought I knew about human biology, but I guess I digress. So what actually happened? Did she really die? Did she off herself like some suggest? Did she abandon the family? If none of these are true, where did William Afton's wife actually go? Well, if we take a look deeper into some of the subtle hints throughout different FNAF games, we would know that in Sister Location we play as Michael Afton, the oldest son. And when he goes home, he watches a show called The Immortal and the Restless. Now, many people believed when first seeing this that it didn't mean anything, or simply boiled down to just a TV show after a long day at work. But if you know Scott, of course it didn't. If you look at this show deeper, you see it depicts a couple arguing the entire time. The dad saying that the baby isn't his, and the mom showing that yes, it obviously is.
Clara, it's not my baby.
Vlad, you suck.
This can only leave us to speculate that the father of Vlad is actually William Afton, and the wife, whose name is Clara, would be William's wife. However, who is the baby? Well, the baby could be Michael, but personally I think it would make more sense for it to be Evan, the youngest, as Michael and his sister were already born. Then the fight happens, and then Clara dips. Though you could also argue this happened way before, and it was their family before she had the other 2 kids, so closer to 1970, and it was just a peek at their constant fighting for over the next decade. Now, we could end the video here and say that from this show, it's pretty obvious William's wife may not have died at all, and may in fact still be out there, possibly with someone new, and not wanting anything to do with her rageful psychotic husband. But what if there was more? What if in later games, such as possibly Security Breach, there is even more lore to be uncovered? Well, of course there is. Obviously. There is actually a deleted lore scene from the staff bot sitting around a kitchen table.
I am home.
You're home early.
I quit my job.
What about the children? We have a down payment on a new closet.
I do not know what I was thinking. I was compelled to leave my post.
Now, this isn't necessarily confirmed to be them, but we can make an educated guess based on the fact that there's 5 of them, and that this one is Elizabeth based on the red, as it also looks similar to Baby's. This one here also appears to be missing a head, possibly signaling it could be Evan, the youngest. So yes, if we take that at face value, Miss Afton got sick of William slacking at work and not being a productive father. They fought a lot until eventually she had enough and packed up and left. But where did she go? And why didn't she take the kids? Clearly William was a far from stable parent, and clearly she knew he was incapable of raising them. Right? I mean, the first thing she brings up in the dialogue is the kids. Right? So it's theorized that it's quite possible that she may have taken some of the kids with her. Possibly Michael, meaning maybe that's why he has a different last name, being Smits instead of Afton. Another reason for the name changeover could also be he simply hated his father and didn't want to be related to him at all. I mean, his father had been dirtying their name, and they weren't exactly popular anymore. Now we know for a fact, however, that William remained the guardian of Elizabeth, as she can be seen in Sister Location, which is also when she gets too close to the baby animatronic, is then grabbed and not to be seen again for the foreseeable future. We can also assume that Evan could have already been gone by now, as Sister Location, also known more formally as Afton Robotics, didn't open up until after he had been deceased. Why the courts gave them each one child is beyond me, or even why Ms. Afton didn't get custody of both, knowing her ex-husband was incapable. I believe one of the simplest answers ever to this question is simply the courts decide that the kids were old enough and give the children a choice, and Elizabeth chose to stay with her father as she was a fan of the animatronics and had forgiven him for her brother's passing, which can be heard from the dialogue snippets in Sister Location.
I know it was an accident. Isn't this why you came here? To be with me again?
Meaning, possibly, she didn't blame her father the same way Miss Afton and Michael did. It looks as if she was a daddy's girl, and her mother couldn't do anything about it as it was court-ordered. This also means from a legal standpoint, Evan's death was passed off as a complete accident, and no one was held liable. Elizabeth was also young and naive and didn't fully understand what they were capable of, the same way her mother and her older brother knew. I mean, compared to the others, it almost appears she was the most sheltered. She assumed he was making baby for her, and she wasn't scared the same way the other Aftons were. So now we understand how the divorce went, and why the kids went with their respective parents. So this would prove William Afton's wife is alive, right? Well, we also know William's a psychopath, and for those who don't know, pretty much he's not capable of things such as empathy or anyone's feelings but his own. At the end of the staff bot's voice dialogue's insecurity breach, he says, "Don't go." And for anyone who knows narcissists and psychopaths, when they say don't go, it means they will do anything in their power to stop you. Anything. And since he's incapable of relating to people's emotions, this would mean he wouldn't care how much he hurts you as long as he feels as if A, what he did was right, or B, you still belong to him. So yes, Ballora is William's wife, but she's not. The theory right now is that she was programmed to resemble his wife, I guess some sort of advanced AI wifey robot. Yeah, instead of being a better human being, William became even more of a creep. So then, what's going on with Ms. Afton? Theories from creators such as MatPat theorize that she wants revenge. She saw what William did and wanted to become immortal as well and bring back her dead children. Now, this definitely isn't in my top 5 Ms. Afton theories, as I honestly believe she was simply a victim who ran away from William and then lost all her kids in the process. It's unknown if she moved on, but I would find it difficult to after a situation like this, so who knows what she did. It's more likely at this point, however, that if she didn't go down the dark side, she more than likely died of old age after living a tragic life. If anything though, Miss Afton, or Miss Smits, whatever name she prefers, looks to be the only survivor of the entire Afton family. Of course, there are dozens of theories involving her, and no one can know for sure, so leave yours down below, or if you believe I missed something. New FNAF games are still coming out with brand new lore, and who knows, maybe one day we'll receive a definitive answer. There's a possibility Scott hasn't put that much thought into her, though I find that hard to believe. It's also quite possible that he left the door open intentionally.